Well, good morning, everybody. This is Michele Brittany with Fanbase Press. It is Saturday morning at San Diego Comic-Con, and this morning I am joined by Michael Molcher, and he is the head of publicity and marketing at 2000 AD. And I'm really excited because you've got a property that I just adore. Judge Dredd, we've talked about it before.
Indeed, yeah.
But one of the interesting things that I really wanted to kind of like pull the curtain back and look at the people that support all the creative talent that we have. And what makes this really interesting is the fact you are from the UK, and I'm sure there are challenges with bringing the talent, the materials over. Can you talk a little bit about those challenges?
I mean, the main challenge is coordinating a shipment of books to be on a slow boat from the UK to come over here. In terms of the challenges, I think the biggest one is just making people aware that we're here. Because this is a big show, there's lots of stuff going on, all the big boys come out to play, and I think we hold our own quite nicely because we're very fortunate to have creators who are generous with their time, engaged with what they've done for us. So we've got Jock, we've got Lee Garvey, we've got Rob Williams, and they're here doing other stuff for other publishers. But it's always great that they are willing to spend their time talking to people about 2000 AD and being here, and a little bit of rewarding the fan base, because when they do signings at Mondo, when they do signings at Marvel and DC, you're talking big queues, so unless you're at the front. But here it's a little bit quieter, we're in a good spot, and it's an opportunity to engage with a different fan base, I think. So from a PR point of view, they make my job a lot easier.
Well, and I think this is the same spot that you had last year as well, so it makes it easier for people to find you again, as well as for first-time folks. For people that haven't been to the booth before, what impression would you like them to get from the booth?
Enthusiasm. That sounds terrible. No, ignore that for a moment. We love what we publish. I know I work in PR. I know that I'm paid to say that. But I've been reading this stuff since I was 9 years old, and passing on a little of that enthusiasm and love for this stuff. Because, to be quite frank and without hyperbole, this is the galaxy's greatest comic. It is stuff that has profoundly changed the way that comics work. And the more people know about that and appreciate it, the better. I was talking to somebody just earlier today, explaining about Halo Jones, and this young girl overheard me talking about it and just hung around until so we were going over it. And it's that kind of, I have an infinite enthusiasm for this comic. To be able to pass that on and say, these are comics you can't get anywhere else. You can't read quality of this kind. That's what I'd love people to walk away with, I think.
And I think that they do.
Oh, good.
So, do tell me, what was the first 2000 AD comic that you started reading as a child?
The very first one was a copy of 2000 AD Monthly, which was like a monthly reprint edition. Back in 1987, 88, and it was the first half of the VCs, which is a kind of future space war thing by Jerry Finley Day, Cam Kennedy, and Mick McMahon. And I could draw you a picture of the newsagent in North Wales where my parents bought it for me, and I got it because on the front they mocked up this cover that said, join the VCs, Vapor Space Invader today, because we invented vaping. And I thought it was a club you could join. I thought it was like literally a fan club. I was like, I could have like a VCs kind of thing. And I was slightly disappointed that wasn't the case. But it blew my tiny little mind. And I started reading 2000 AD every week in 1991. And it changed my life, and it's been one of those things that's been a constant in my life. I started, I'm a newspaper journalist originally. I started writing freelance features, and then when this job came up, they knew that I knew my stuff, and they knew I could write to a deadline most of the time. That's how it came to be. So it's been a constant source of inspiration my entire life, and so yes, I get paid to do this, but also every single moment that I spend enthusing about it is payback, really.
What I'm thinking is probably a dream come true for you as well.
Yes, yeah, it is pretty much. I mean, any kind of dream job also has its challenges and its negatives. I'm not going to pretend that things aren't hard often, but it wouldn't be a challenge if it was, too easy.
Yeah.
And it's not for me to judge. I would like to think I've made a difference to the long-term survival of 2000 AD. We've got our 40th anniversary coming up next year.
40th.
Yeah, and our 2000th issue in late September. So to be here for that and to be the person who's shouting about that, I mean, that's a privilege that I just,
Yeah, well, and your passion comes through.
Oh, good, thank you.
So it's exciting. So tell me what's coming up. Tell me about the 40th and the 2000th issue.
We have plans for the 40th. We haven't announced them yet, but certainly February is going to be a very exciting month for us. In terms of Prog 2000, that's coming out 28th September, available through Diamond in US comic book stores, but not in a pack. Very, very important. Normally 2000 AD is packed together, but it's going to be available on its own. And what's great about it is that Brian Bolland, Mick McMahon, Robin Smith, Kevin O'Neill, all these greats, the people who got their start on 2000 AD, they've come back. It's Brian Bolland's first sequentials in 30 odd years. I mean, he did, the last time he did a sequential art for us was Blockmania before the Apocalypse War. So that's how long it's been. It's great to have those guys back. We've got some newer talent in there as well. So that's going to be a really special event for us. In terms of other stuff, and actually, the stuff that week in, week out we publish. I think some people go, 2000 AD, new stories, blah blah blah. But there's series like Kingmaker, which is Ian Edgington, who is one of our best writers, and Lee Gallagher. Now, Lee previously has done Defoe and Aquila, which have been two historical action series. He's been desperate to do sci-fi for ages. So Kingmaker is going to be a fantastic series where he gets to do that. And I've seen the first pages, and it's spectacular stuff.
Cool.
So I'm really looking forward to that. We've got a kind of Rogue Trooper series which is being written by Gordon Rennie, which is coming up. I'm trying to think what else we've got. Exciting stuff that we've not announced yet. I know that's a bit of a cop-out, but it's all kind of focused on Prog 2000 in September and then the 40th anniversary in February. And it's an opportunity for two groups of people. Number one, people who used to read it. I mean, I worked out that if you add up all the people who read and used to read 2000 AD, just in Britain alone, you're talking the best part of 1 million people, at least, yeah. So it's an opportunity for them to rekindle their love for 2000 AD. But also it's an opportunity for people who haven't heard of us or have been curious about us to come on board and go, well, we've got a blend of the old and the new. And just the same kind of inventive storytelling that we've always had. So yeah, exciting times.
Now, and you bring up actually a really interesting point, because for me, I actually entered 2000 AD with the Dredd film, Peter Travis film.
Yeah.
But then also the fact that we've had some crossovers with Dredd. Can you talk a little bit about the impact of the movie and the crossovers to 2000 AD as far as your fan base?
Sure. It opened up such a larger audience to us. I know some people in comics kind of go, we get a blip with a movie or a TV series and it levels out. That's not been the case for us, particularly in America. We saw a massive increase in our collection sales because we sell a lot through comic book stores, but we mostly sell through Barnes & Noble. and their appetite for Dredd in particular is never sated. We had the Urban Warfare collection by Arthur Wyatt, Matt Smith, Henry Flynn, Paul Davidson. That's done really well. I mean, we had a massive pile of it this weekend, and it's virtually all gone now. It's one of those things where there's a big appetite for a sequel. And there's the big fan campaign, and the petition's up to about 155,000 names now.
Mine's in there.
Excellent, excellent. And we've had Carl Urban in the office and for a chat. It's not as imminent as a lot of people seem to think it is, but we are working to try and make it happen in whatever form it comes. It's just. You've got to keep the faith and keep going. And what was great about the movie, it has introduced a lot of people to the world of Dredd in a way that you just can't normally do. And because of the how close the movie was to the source in terms of storytelling, when you go and watch an Avengers movie or a Batman movie, you go to your local comic store and you say, I want that version. You go, well, this is kind of it. You can't get the exact same thing, but you can walk out of seeing Dredd and come to a booth like this and pick up Case Files number 5, pick up Origins, pick up Trifecta, whatever, and it is the same character. It's written the same. His manner, his one-liners, exactly the same, and that is testament to Alex Garland and Carl Urban, who just did such a fantastic job. Alex is a huge fan, and he got the character. He understood what John Wagner had done, a great character. So from our point of view, whatever happens with any sequel, whether it's TV, whether it's film, whether it's now or in the future, I think we have the good fortune to have one of the best comic book adaptations ever made, and an easy in for people to the world of Dredd.
It really is. Now, one last question. So, of course, Dredd is one of the great ways to enter 2000 AD world. Is there another title that maybe people might be interested in that are not familiar?
Sure. There's several, actually.
Go for it.
I could just enthuse about this all day, which indeed is my job. There's a couple. I mean, you've got something like a classic like Halo Jones. So, as far as I'm concerned, one of the greatest characters in comics, certainly the greatest female character in comics. You've got Slain, the Celtic barbarian. That's 30 odd years of just endlessly inventive swords and sorcery with Irish mythology and things like that. But a couple of newer series. There's Brass Sun. Mm-hmm. She's Ian Edgington and Ian Coulbard, and that is high concept fantasy sci-fi clock punk with strong characters, good ideas. That's a great way in. We published it as floppy editions in the States, but the collection is also available. Somebody's very happy over there. But then you get something like Kingdom, which is genetically modified dogs fighting giant insects in a post-apocalyptic future. I've said that a few times.
Yes, you have. You had that down.
Yeah, and that's Dan Abnett, who, best-selling author. Anybody who's had anything to do with Warhammer and his other stuff will know him. That's just really clever science fiction comics. And it's thrilling, it's interesting, it's the great central character. That's a big in. Strontium Dog,
yes.
Mutant Bounty Hunters in the future, Zenith, Grant Morrison's first great work, Nemesis the Warlock. There's still a copy of number 1 there. I'm determined to sell it because it blew my mind, and it's wonderful that it could do the same to somebody else. But even smaller titles, that aren't necessarily ongoing series. John Smith's Cradlegrave is horror comics like you'd not believe. It's about hope in the face of despair. It's about youth maturing into adulthood. It's about it's a drugs allegory. It's it's just utterly fantastic, you know. And you read this stuff and it's like crack, you know. You kind of think, wow, that is an experience. I need to read more.
So now, where can people go to learn more about these titles?
Well, they can go to our website, www.2000adonline.com, and there you will find a link to our fortnightly podcast, which is me talking to artists and writers and famous fans as well. We just interviewed Ben Wheatley, the film director, about the influence of 2000 AD on him. There's also our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/2000 AD online. And I do a bite-sized weekly series called the 2000 AD ABC, where I'm going through in alphabetical order, like a lunatic, all the great stories of 2000 AD. And we're just about to start the C's. And let's see now. If I continue one a week, I might never finish.
I was thinking they're going to have to keep you around for a very long time.
Or possibly get me to do them all and then bump me off. So that's a good, easy way to see me enthusing about stories I like. But you know, we're on Twitter. We're at 2000 AD. We're on Facebook. Just straightforward 2000 AD. And I try to keep it so that it is a mix of nostalgia, but also the newer stuff. So there's always something new and fresh.
Excellent. Well, Michael, thank you so much for your time this morning.
My
I
absolute
sincerely
pleasure.
appreciate it.
No, thank you.
This is Michelle with Fanbase Press, and you can see more content about San Diego at fanbasepress.com. Thanks.